What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. How are we all getting on? So Jordan Henderson looks set to sign for Ajax over in the Netherlands, and yeah, it's been a crazy couple of months, hasn't it been, for Jordan Henderson? Obviously, since leaving Liverpool in the summer of last year, obviously ending, his long stay at the football club, ending his captaincy in the process as well, and signing for what was a massive surprise and still is a massive surprise in many ways, El Ettifaq over in Saudi Arabia. And less than 4 or 5 months he's been, 6 months over in Saudi Arabia with El Ettifaq, playing under Steven Gerrard, playing with ex-Liverpool teammates, the likes of Gini Wijnaldum as well, and he's cut his stay short. As a matter of fact, it's been rumoured that he's bought out of his own contract with El Ettifaq, and that has been the reason for his termination of his contract, and in the process that allows him to sign for Ajax, which of course was reported earlier today by Fabrizio Romano. Firstly, if you're new to the channel, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, I would really much appreciate it. The video I made about a week or so ago on True Geordie, I think firstly I just have to say, thanks for all the support over on that video. 30,000 views for a channel with 300 subscribers is absolutely mental, and I think I've gained more subscribers from that video alone than I had before the video. So yeah, for anyone who has subscribed, I do appreciate it. This is a new channel. I'm still figuring my way out around here, and usually how it's worked on this channel till now is a topic or an opinion will come into my head, and then we'll just make a video on it. It's pretty simple, and yeah, we'll see how things go. The channel will evolve, will grow, will kick on. Cheers anyone who's, here for the journey, and yeah, massive appreciate the support, the likes, the comments and everything over in that video. For such a small channel, and for myself, starting out with this channel, to get that amount of views and those kind of numbers is mind-blowing, to be honest with you. So just wanted to say thank you very much, and for those of you who have subscribed, who have come from that video, hopefully you stick around. And yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, we're going to be discussing the whole scenario. To be honest, it was a bit of a mad one, wasn't it? It was a bit of a crazy one with Jordan Henderson, because look, at the end of the day, you can understand most players wanting to go to Saudi Arabia. You can understand most players taking that opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia for one reason, and one reason only. You're going to get fucking bags of cash, aren't you? You know what I mean? That's the main reason you're going to Saudi Arabia. I love all this, let's go over there and try and grow the league. I'm very excited by the project here, the facilities and all this other crack. Let's just cut through the bullshit here. You're going to Saudi Arabia for money. I just wish we would see more players come out and openly say that. Do you get what I mean? Do we really think that Cristiano Ronaldo grew up dreaming of playing in, I don't know, one of the Saudi Arabian stadiums at some point in his career? Probably not. Do we think Steven Gerrard grew up with El Ettifaq posters and scarves on his wall? Absolutely not. They're obviously there for the money, and I wish players would just cut through the bullshit and everything else. One thing I like at least about the boxing and everything else, and even with the golf to a certain extent, you have fighters coming out and saying, yeah, 100% the fight's on in Saudi Arabia because that's where I'm going to get the most amount of money. Let's just be honest here. There's no other reason why you're there. So I think that's what's made this whole Jordan Henderson scenario a little bit, I suppose, untasteful, and obviously the fact that he was such a huge admirer of the LGBTQ plus community. He was obviously wearing the rainbow with Liverpool. He's been involved in a number of campaigns with that community, and he's been an integral part of that community whilst he has been Liverpool captain. And to just completely turn your back on all those beliefs and sign for Saudi Arabia as well, it probably did show that ultimately he didn't really care all too much about that community. Let's be honest, he really didn't, because if he did really care and he genuinely did feel something towards that community and he believed in promoting that and everything else, he wouldn't have gone to Saudi Arabia, because it genuinely would have made no sense. And I think that was another thing that really infuriated a lot of people with him going to Saudi Arabia. As I said before, you can understand why players go there, but I think for Henderson, the way this whole scenario and situation has been managed from start to finish has just looked really, really silly. And the fact that he's already looking to leave less than half a season yeah, like it doesn't really look good on his behalf ultimately. The question that I've seen with some Liverpool fans and everything else is, has he ruined his legacy as Liverpool captain? Does he deserve to be like criticised and everything else? Like, look, I don't think necessarily that he has ruined his legacy in terms of being a Liverpool player. Like, obviously, when he was captain of the club, Liverpool won absolutely everything there is to win in terms of winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, won both domestic cups, won the Club World Cup, won the European Super Cup, Charity Shield if you want to throw that in. Like, he won everything that you could win. So I think ultimately, look, he probably, as a player, like, and I've always said this about Henderson, not the most gifted player that Liverpool have ever had playing in midfield, but in terms of a captain, he was absolutely brilliant. He was a leader, and he was able to bring the best out of in other players as well. And obviously, Klopp admired him. Obviously, the players admired him as well because he stuck around for so long. So I don't think it tarnishes his legacy in any ways in terms of being a Liverpool player and a Liverpool legend. But it certainly does tarnish his legacy morally, doesn't it, in terms of his beliefs. And I think it does question, you certainly can question his integrity and everything else as well, given the fact that he was such a strong admirer of the LGBTQ plus community, doing so much work on behalf of that community, and then he just completely turned their back on them and went to Saudi Arabia, where everything about the LGBTQ plus community is essentially frowned upon and illegal and everything, and it's, you know, completely unacceptable over there. And fair enough, that's completely fine because that's their culture or whatever, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, for Jordan Henderson, like, you can't have one belief and then completely go against it. Like, and we all know why he went there as well. Like, you know, it was the money. Like, I think that interview he done with The Athletic as well didn't really help things at all, if I'm being honest. You know, like, I feel like Henderson, I honestly nearly feel like he would have been better saying nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know he felt like he had to come out and address it, but there was not going to be a right answer. You know, he nearly would have been better. Okay, you leave in January. Now let's address it. Now let's speak about it. Because now you can be honest. He couldn't be honest in that scenario. He couldn't say, I mean, he probably should have just come out and said, I went there for the money. But then people would probably say, well, then you are essentially admitting that the LGBTQ plus community work that you done was false and it was all a PR stuff. So he should have just said nothing, in my opinion. And maybe when he came back from Saudi, then he could be honest and just be open and say, look, you know, I completely made a mistake and that's just how it is. And it's mad as well, like, especially because when the decision came for Jordan Henderson to go to Saudi Arabia, like, you just wonder, was there not people around him? Did he not have advisors around him? Was his agent, you know, and his PR team and everything? Because we all know footballers have these, and especially a player as high profile of Jordan Henderson, we know he's very close with his family as well. Surely, you know, someone would have said to him, Jordan, do you think that's a good idea? You know, going over to Saudi Arabia, going back on your own beliefs, contradicting yourself. Do you think it's good for your career as well? You know, going over to Saudi Arabia, where when we look at the average attendances, we have attendances in League 1 and League 2 that attract more fans. It's a league where, yes, fair enough, there's a lot of stars and players going over there, but in reality, like, it's not really that meaningful, is it really? You know, and you've got 600 people turning up to certain games. Do you know what I mean? Is that, you know, surely someone would have done their due diligence and looked into this before Henderson moved over there. So that's why it does just baffle me that he went there. Like, it's kind of crazy, to be honest. And ultimately, look, he's decided to pull a plug in it. I think at the end of the day, if he's not happy, then fair enough. You know, I think makes sense for him to pull the plug in it. And at the end of the day, if he had it left in the summer of this year, I think people probably are having the same conversation now. Maybe it looks a little bit more silly with the fact that, you know, he's terminated his contract and he's probably going to get some sort of a wage cut at Ajax as well. But yeah, probably not the best look from Jordan Henderson, it must be said. Him going to Ajax is an interesting one. I'd be lying if I said I watch much Dutch football. I think the only game I watched of Ajax this year is when they played Brighton in the Europa League, and they've had all sorts of problems this year. I mean, they're currently sitting 5th in the Eredivisie, which is actually not that bad considering where they were a couple of months ago. I mean, they were more or less like in the bottom half of the table. They started off the season in the relegation zone. They've had a very bad season, absolutely no shadow of a doubt. And of course, they've lost a whole host of players over the last couple of years, and structures have changed and everything else, and of course lost one of their long-standing managers in Erik ten Hag, who could very well be back at Ajax sometime soon. But yeah, he's going there. He'll, from what I've seen online, a lot of Ajax fans are happy. He'll bring a lot of solidity in their midfield. He'll bring a lot of experience and leadership, and that's probably what Ajax definitely need right now. They're still in the Europa Conference League. They did get knocked out of the Europa League, but they finished third in the group. So dropping down into the Conference League. And, I mean, Aston Villa will, of course, be serious favourites in the Europa Conference League. But maybe Ajax can go on a run there. Maybe Jordan Henderson might be the man to potentially inspire something huge. Look, as a Liverpool fan, I want nothing but, the best for him, personally. I want him to succeed at Ajax. I want him to do well. And see what happens there. I personally do think he'll probably end up back at Sunderland in the next couple of years, because that is his hometown club, and generally that's what happens with players when they get older. They go back to the club where it all started. So I think that's what will end up happening. But look, I want nothing but the best for him as an ex-Liverpool player, but at the same time, I do understand why a lot of people would question his beliefs, his morals, his integrity, because to completely go back on his word in the way that he did and come out on The Athletic and say that he was going over there to try and grow the league and then ultimately jump ship at the first attempt, yeah, like it's not a good look, and it's certainly going to be a stain on Jordan Henderson's image and legacy overall as a player and as a person. But in terms of his legacy as a Liverpool captain, I don't think that can be tarnished. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. As I was saying before, appreciate anyone who's jumped over recently and subscribed and left a like or anything like that. Very much appreciate, and hopefully we'll think of more good video ideas and everything else to try and kickstart this channel even more and kick on. So cheers anyone who tuned in, and I'll see you when I see you.